Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Hamas hands over bodies of 4 Israeli captives in exchange of hundreds of prisoners, marking the final swap as part of the Gaza truce. There is no more important relationship for the UK. Prime Minister Starmer says ties with US, while Zelensky is also due at the White House on Friday to sign a minerals deal. US President Donald Trump set to impose 25% tariff on imports from European Union, while EU vows firm and immediate response. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen, along with other commissioners to visit India today, will hold bilateral talks, will focus on trade and security. Hamas handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages to the Red Cross in Gaza on early Thursday in an overnight exchange, marking the final swap as part of the truce in Gaza. Hamas had previously identified the bodies of those of Sachi Idan, Itzhak Elgarat, Ohad Yahalomi and Shloma Manzoor, all of whom were abducted during the October 7, 2023 attack. Now, the handover did not include a Hamas ceremony. The ceasefire came into effect on January 19th and has largely held despite numerous setbacks. But its first phase is due to end this week, and the fate of its next phase, which aims to end the war, remains unclear. Hamas said on Thursday that it was ready to start talks on the second phase and that the only way remaining hostages would be freed is through commitment to the ceasefire. Meanwhile, buses carrying released Palestinian prisoners from Israel's prisons arrived in Gaza's Khan Yunis on early Thursday, days after Israel had originally refused to release them. Israel refused to release the prisoners on Saturday after Hamas handed over 6 hostages in a staged ceremony. Another group of recently released Palestinian prisoners arrived in the Palestinian city of Ramallah on Thursday morning. The first phase of the ceasefire included the exchange of 33 Israeli hostages, in total for around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees, and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from some positions in Gaza, as well as an influx of aid. Moving on to the US, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet President Trump on Thursday. Ahead of the meeting, Starmer stressed that there is no more important relationship for the United Kingdom than the one with the US. He also said at the meeting with the business leaders at the residence of the British ambassador to the US. Meanwhile, on the issue of peace in Ukraine,
reforming permitting, getting things built, reducing barriers to investment and growth, and we're open for business, open for investment, and we're determined to help US innovators thrive in the United Kingdom. So my message is we want to work with you, we want to welcome you to Britain, we want a new partnership, because our history shows that when we work together, great things happen.
Meanwhile, on the issue of peace in Ukraine, Starmer has urged the US to provide a security backstop to any future European peacekeepers in Ukraine, saying only that would offer Kyiv a lasting peace rather than a temporary ceasefire. Starmer will be hosting Zelensky, Macron and other European leaders in Britain on Sunday as the momentum grows, with Britain and France proposing peacekeepers. The shape of a possible deal has begun to emerge, but now it will be up to Moscow and Washington to seal it. While on Friday, Zelensky will be visiting Washington to strike a minerals deal with the United States and discuss future aid with President Trump. Ahead of this, Trump, however, said that Zelensky would sign the agreement on rare earths and other topics during his visit, but suggested that Washington would not make far-reaching security guarantees.
President Zelensky is going to be coming on Friday. That's now confirmed, and we're going to be signing an agreement which will be a very big agreement. And I want to thank Howard and Scott for the job you guys did in putting it together. Really did an amazing job. And that'll be on rare earth and other things.
Trump also said that Russian President Vladimir Putin would also have to make concessions in a deal to end fighting with Ukraine. Zelensky had earlier said that the revenues from the resources deal would be deposited in a fund co-owned by Ukraine and the United States, and that Kyiv would not be a debtor over aid provided under the Biden administration. Staying with Donald Trump, staying with the US, in fact, US President announced a forthcoming 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. In response, the European Commission vowed to counteract these unfair trade barriers, emphasizing its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers. A detailed report.
On Wednesday, US President Donald Trump announced that his administration would soon implement a 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. In response, the European Commission vowed to take immediate action against unfair trade barriers and tariffs that challenge legitimate policies.
We have made a decision. We'll be announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%. Generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all other things. And European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way.
The EU reaffirmed its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers from unjustified tariffs. The EU has a 10% tariff on passenger cars, 4 times the rate of the US passenger car tariff of 2.5%. US officials have also raised concerns about European value-added taxes, which start at 17.5%. Meanwhile, Trump raised hopes for another month-long pause on steep new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, saying they could take effect on April 2nd. However, the White House confirmed that the March 4th deadline for 25% tariffs remains in place, subject to Trump's review of border security measures and efforts to curb migration and fentanyl trafficking. Canadian Innovation Minister Francois Philippe Champagne stated that Canada will wait for Trump's signed executive orders before responding, while Mexico's Economy Minister declined to comment but announced that Minister Marcelo Ebrard will meet U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Thursday. Kajal's report for DD India.
Meanwhile, Trump's administration on Wednesday ordered federal agencies to undertake more large-scale layoffs of the workers, in fact. Now, this comes after Trump's first cabinet meeting, where Department of Government Efficiency Chief Elon Musk pledged deeper spending cuts. A new memo ordered agencies to submit plans by 13th of March for staff reductions, adding to the job cuts and program restrictions and reductions already in place. However, it did not specify how many positions would be affected. The memo represents a major escalation in Trump and Musk's campaign to slash the size of the U.S. government. So far, the layoffs have focused on probationary workers who have less tenure in their current roles and enjoy fewer job protections. The next round would target the vastly bigger pool of veteran civil servants. Taiwan's defense ministry reported a surge in Chinese military activity on Wednesday, but officials said that they did not detect any live fire exercises in a drill zone off the island's southwestern coast. Taiwan's government condemned the move as dangerous, provocative, and a threat to commercial flights and shipping, adding no prior notice was given. China is yet to comment. In its daily morning updates of Chinese military activities in the prior 24 hours, Taiwan's defense ministry said it had detected 45 Chinese military aircraft and 14 Navy ships operating around the island on Wednesday. They said the Chinese move was very similar to its other recent military activity in the region, such as in the South China Sea and that of Australia's coast, during which China's Navy did not give adequate notice about their exercises. New Zealand has also raised concerns over China's recent live-fire military drills in the Tasman Sea on Wednesday, as the Foreign Minister Winston Peters addressed the issue during meetings with Chinese leaders. New Zealand emphasized that New Zealand had not been given adequate notice about the exercises off its coast. Peters is in Beijing for a 3-day visit after relations between the two countries became strained over the drills. Additionally, Peters expressed concerns that the Cook Islands, an independent nation in free association with New Zealand, had signed a comprehensive strategic partnership and other agreements with China without proper consultation with New Zealand. Both New Zealand and Australian officials reported that China had conducted live-fire exercises in international waters between the two countries with minimal notice, which led to flight diversions for commercial airlines.
We mentioned the recent event with respect to the naval exercises from China and the irony of the use of naval weaponry in the Taiwan situation just in the last 24 hours, and talk to them about the lack of notice that you'd expect for a country like ours in a relationship with China to have had.
A wildfire in northern Japan has damaged over 80 buildings and forced the evacuation of hundreds of residents, with military helicopters mobilized to help put it out. As blaze reducing several houses to charred frames in forested areas of Ufanato in the region of Iwate, nearly 600 nearby residents have been evacuated. As of Thursday morning, city officials estimated that at least 84 buildings had been damaged by the fire. The cause of the blaze remains unknown. There were about 1,300 wildfires across Japan in 2023, concentrated in the February to April period when the air dries out and winds pick up. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano is at it again, with lava from the latest eruptive episode shooting nearly 600 feet into the air. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, officials said the eruption began with small lava fountains between 20 and 30 feet high that were feeding short lava flows. In addition, the USGS warned about the possibility of wind-blown volcanic glass known as Pele's hair impacting Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and nearby communities. NASA's Lunar Trailblazer satellite has launched on a mission to uncover water sources on the moon's surface. The launch is part of the U.S. company's second lunar touchdown. The satellite, carried by a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, aims to identify and map water in permanently shadowed craters of the lunar poles. Water is crucial for future lunar missions as it can be processed into oxygen and fuel. Lunar Trailblazer will orbit the moon at 60 miles of altitude, collecting high-resolution images to determine the form and abundance of water. The Lunar Trailblazer will begin a 2-year mission to study the distribution of different forms of water on the moon. The mission could also shed light on the origin of water on Earth. With potentially hundreds of millions of tons of water on the moon, this discovery could be a game changer for space exploration. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Indigenous leaders and human rights defenders staged an artistic protest in Guatemala City on Wednesday, using a blue fabric to represent the country's waterways. They demanded the protection of the country's rivers and lakes, emphasizing the importance of including indigenous perspectives in national water legislation. A concert film of Pink Floyd performing in Pompeii will be re-released in cinemas and IMAX on April 24th. The film was originally shot in 1971 without an audience in Pompeii's Roman amphitheater. Restored to 4K from the original negatives, the film will include a 90-minute cut combining performance footage with documentary segments. The enhanced soundtrack, mixed by Steven Wilson, will be released on May 2nd. The satirical short film Johannes Scrablo has gained over 3 million views in Mexico with a month of its release on YouTube. It parodies the French film Emilia Perez, which faced backlash in Mexico for cultural stereotypes and oversimplified portrayals of violence. Director Camila de Aurora described the film as a Mexican response to Emilia Perez. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Telangana government confirms SLBC tunnel rescue operation on track. Completion expected in 2 days. Prime Minister Narendra Modi pens down a blog post on the Maha Kumbh Mela, describing it as a Maha Yagna of unity that reflects India's rich spiritual and cultural heritage. Pakistan and Bangladesh to lock horns at the Champions Trophy in Rawalpindi.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is set to visit India on 27th and 28th of February, accompanied by 21 out of 27 EU commissioners. Now, this high-level delegation aims to enhance the India-EU strategic partnership, focusing on trade, defense, security and discussions on the Ukraine conflict. Here's a report by our correspondent Akhilesh Suman.
During the high-level European Union delegation visit on February 28th, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President von der Leyen are expected to engage in comprehensive talks covering proposed free trade agreement, FTA, defense and security cooperation, and Russia-Ukraine conflict. On the FTA front, while negotiations on market access and tariffs may take center stage, discussions will also focus on expanding the India-EU strategic partnership to new areas like defense technology and energy cooperation. Both sides are expected to explore collaborations in digital technology, artificial intelligence and green energy, including green hydrogen and renewable energy. The talks may also be helpful in achieving India's goal of Viksit Bharat, or a developed nation, by 2047. Free trade agreement, negotiations on market access, tariffs and standards, strategic partnership expansion, defense technology and energy cooperation, digital and AI collaboration, strengthening technological partnerships, India-EU green transition, renewable energy and climate commitments.
I think on the bilateral aspect, it is the EU-India FTA that has been under discussion, under negotiation for a long time. I remember we started this in 2007 when I used to be in Brussels. I used to be the Deputy Chief of Mission in Brussels. EU is a very significant trading partner. It's a very significant investment partner. And we have to make it a very significant technology partner.
A notable component of the visit is the India-EU Trade and Technology Council, which aims to boost strategic coordination on trade, emerging technologies and digital innovations. The total bilateral trade between India and European Union stands at $135 billion. India's exports to the EU amount to $76 billion, while EU exports to India are valued at $59 billion. EU investments in India total up to $117 billion, with over 6,000 European companies operating in the country. Meanwhile, Indian investments in the EU amount to some $40 billion.
India free trade agreement that has been looming on, dragging on actually for more than a decade now, and so far they couldn't agree on the terms. And I think now the situation is there that that this agreement should be finalized in the interest of both.
This visit marks the first ever meeting of such a big number of EU commissioners in India, highlighting the growing strategic importance of India-EU relationship. One of the most crucial aspects of the discussions is expected to be Russia-Ukraine conflict. The EU may seek India's diplomatic role in peace negotiations and explore India's support in providing security guarantees to Ukraine should a peaceful resolution be reached. This comes amid the ongoing talks between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Putin to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which has now completed 3 years. The EU, which is aiming to play an important role, sees India as a potential support given its balanced stance on global conflicts.
Since the time Donald Trump has become the President of the United States of America, every country is trying to consolidate the older relationship so that their interests are not affected negatively. India and EU are also trying in the same way. Akhilesh Suman for DD India in New Delhi.
The Telangana government has announced that the ongoing rescue operations at the SLBC tunnel, where 8 individuals remain trapped, is on schedule to be completed within 2 days. In a statement, State Minister Uttam Kumar Reddy said seasoned experts in tunnel construction, along with teams that are experienced in managing rescue efforts during tunnel accidents, are executing a comprehensive plan to reach the accident site swiftly and efficiently. These experts will now try to enter the SLBC pit and meticulously remove the accumulated silt and debris made up of soil and water. He reassured the public that the operations are being conducted in close collaboration with suggestions from tunnel experts, both domestic and international. Maha Kumbh, the mega religious gathering held once every 12 years, drew over 660 million devotees to the sacred confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and the mythical Saraswati rivers for a dip in the pursuit of faith and salvation in Prayagraj. On the concluding day, that is Maha Shivratri, nearly 20 million devotees took the holy dip, closing an event that witnessed profound spiritual fervour. The festival began with the Posh Purnima Snan on 13th of January and concluded with a Maha Shivratri Snan on 26th of February. With meticulous arrangements by the Mela police ensuring security and order, Maha Kumbh 2025 transcended the definition of a religious gathering. It became a profound symbol of social unity and the spiritual strength of the society. The Indian Air Force marked the conclusion of the event with a grand salute featuring Sukhoi fighter jets, AN-32 transport aircraft and Chetak helicopters performing aerial maneuvers over the Sangam. With the final bathing day of the Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj having been concluded, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Thursday will felicitate sanitation workers, interact with boatmen as well as UPSRTC drivers. Police personnel as well as administrative officials deployed at the Maha Kumbh for the past 1.5 months and also thank them personally for their services. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has penned a blog post on the Maha Kumbh Mela, describing it as a Maha Yagya of unity that reflects India's spiritual and cultural heritage. Sharing some quotes on X, Prime Minister wrote, and I quote him, "The Maha Kumbh has concluded. The great ritual of unity has concluded. In Prayagraj, at the Maha Kumbh of Unity, the way the faith of 1.4 billion countrymen came together at the same time, connected to this one festival for a full 45 days, is overwhelming. People from every class and every region of society became one in this Maha Kumbh. This became a grand festival of the eternal memorable scene of One India, Great India, instilling self-confidence in crores of countrymen. To make the grand conference of unity a success, overwhelmed by the hard work, efforts and resolve of the countrymen, I will visit Sri Somnath, the first among the 12 Jyotirlingas, offering the flower of resolution, in fact, the flower of resolve in form of devotion. I will pray for every Indian. I wish that this unbroken stream of unity among the countrymen continues to flow just like this." Earlier, India's Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav took stock of Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj Junction Station. He visited the Integrated Command and Control Centre, which was set up for smooth crowd management through continuous monitoring during the Maha Kumbh 2025. The minister also met the railway employees and other CISF personnel and lauded their contribution towards efficient functioning of the railways.
महाकुंभ के इस सफल आयोजन के लिए सभी कर्मचारियों को, अधिकारियों को धन्यवाद देने के लिए आया हूँ। आज हमारे संस्कृति के इस बहुत बड़े महापर्व में सबने मेहनत की, सबने अपना अपना योगदान दिया कि दिन रात आपने मेहनत की, लगे रहे और जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें मार्गदर्शन दिया था, श्रद्धालुओं की श्रद्धा में हम कैसे सहायक बने, कैसे उस सेवा भाव से काम करें, वही सभी ने किया।
All right, let's talk of sports now. Pakistan and Bangladesh will be desperate to secure a win as they clash in their last match at the Champions Trophy in Rawalpindi on Thursday. Pakistan and Bangladesh have been eliminated from the tournament after losing their opening two matches against New Zealand and India. Hosts Pakistan would hope that they don't finish their campaign without a win, while Bangladesh will be out to prove their caliber. Pakistan's batters have not pulled their collective weight till now. Saud Shakil and Babaraz have both hit a half-century each, but have not been able to make any major impact. Bangladesh's batting has been inconsistent, with the lower order having to bail them out. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.